We live in a world where everything is possible, and war became a normality, not an exception. The key negative development of the conflict is that Russia is still on Ukrainian land, still advancing, although at a very slow pace, but steadily, and it continues to hit Ukrainian cities and infrastructure with missiles and drones. This is more or less the reality that has been since the beginning of the invasion. The key question is how to slow down the cavalry attack of President Trump on the issue of war and peace in Ukraine. President Trump today dominates the landscape. He has set a different dynamics. Today, Europe and Ukraine, as part of Europe, have to find an answer what to do with that, because the recent initiatives of President Trump and the message coming from his vice president that Europe and America do not share the same values anymore puts everyone in a completely different situation. So today, the best strategy for Europe is to decide to step up its own role in the game, which will require a lot of political will and financial resources. The strategy for Ukraine is also to seek internal resources for the continuation of the war effort, because if we run out of resources, or if we do not find a way to build up resources, Ukraine and then Europe will be exposed to the pressure coming from the United States on one side and from Russia on another side. Wartime diplomacy depends on the specific war. So rules are more or less the same, but wars can be very different. And today, the war in Ukraine is very much similar to the Second World War in its scale and interplay between global and regional powers. The course that I offer contains a unique experience that was forgotten in Europe due to the fact that there were no major wars since the Second World War. I'm afraid it is time to remember what does it mean to run diplomacy or to be a diplomat in times of war in order to be able to defend your country. But I also pay primary focus to preventing wars, so that diplomats actually learn the mistakes of those who failed to prevent wars and do not repeat them. Everything is possible. A diplomat should not base his calculation on the assumption that war is impossible, that war is unlikely, that the war can happen to someone else but not to his country. We live in a world where everything is possible, and war became a normality, not an exception. Sciences Po.